funny is this is the first time I'm doing the intro music and recording and getting it done, which is awesome because I do this at post, and it's not a big deal, but
yeah,
it makes a fucking difference. Steve, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Good to catch up with you. Saw you at the bike shed last week. We were talking a little bit about your ride, which I do want to talk about the ride.
Yep.
And then we were talking about what you were doing now and back in the days.
Yeah.
So let's do this. So what's the hat? What are you wearing?
So Schofield's Flowers is a brand that I brought back. It's our family brand, 126 years old.
Really?
Yeah,
1896.
Yeah. So my grandfather was partnered with Dion O'Banion, the Irish gangster that was killed by Al Capone's men in our flower shop. My grandfather's shop was called Schofield's Flowers. O'Banion became a partner with him by throwing 10 grand on the table. They grew up together as kids. And then grandfather became a florist.
This
he
is
became a wise
gangsters.
guy.
Fuck, you've never told me this. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he's a wise guy.
Yeah, he's a wise guy. And then what happened is there was a couple other gang members. Torrio ran everything out of New York, and then Chicago was split between North and South. And South side was Capone, North side was O'Banion. And then there were other gangsters that had their own little territories, but everybody was buying liquor either from O'Banion or Torrio, and then Torrio brought in Capone.
This is Prohibition.
This is pre-Prohibition and Prohibition.
And Prohibition.
Yeah. So O'Banion became my grandfather's partner in 22. And then O'Banion was killed in the flower shop. It's in Boardwalk Empire. If you guys seen it, you'll see.
Yeah, fucking gangster show.
Yeah,
so good.
It's great, And I mean, women, by the way, love anything to do with true crime.
I know. There is a statistic right now that's like 96% of women watch all those true crime documentaries, serial killers, murderers, and then the gang. But mostly the serial killer ones.
Yeah. It's great. And I was a policeman in Chicago, so I know about serial killers.
You were a police officer in Chicago? Holy fuck, man.
Yeah, I started with the sheriff's department, and, I was around when the Gacy case went down.
Wow.
So, John Wayne Gacy.
This is impressive to me because I've known you, we were talking about this before before my youngest one's born, so he's going to be almost 14, so at least 15 years.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, from Van Nuys motorcycle.
Yeah, Van Nuys Harley Davidson.
Which we met some great friends and had some great rides.
Yeah.
So
you were a police officer. You started sheriff and then
started as a sheriff and then wound up getting into improv with Second City, and Del Close had come back. He was the head of improv he designed improv, him and one other person out of Chicago. I can't think of her name, but they were using improv as a study to help kids and adults with their think process out of University of Illinois. And so he wound up working with Belushi and Aykroyd and everybody. And then Second City was around for quite a long time. And then he got asked by Lorne Michaels to take all those guys and bring it to Saturday Night Live. So he was with Saturday Night Live for 7 years, and then he came back, and then he hooked up with Second City, and then he went with Sharna Halpern from Improv Olympics.
Yeah.
And so that's when I wound up going with him. My sister was dating a guy that was best friends with the stage manager. I had been asked to do a police industrial on bank robberies. And one thing led to the next, where I told my sister I had such a good time putting this entire bank robbery hoax together with the police department that I wanted to get into acting because I got to play a real bank robber.
Yeah, you get to play
with 3 other people, right? Oh. 3 other officers. I walked in it was on the back in the day on the bulletin board before you had computers. It would be just like car for sale on the bulletin board, and we had all our big 2-ring binders with murders, armed robberies, burglaries, whatever it was. And so you'd look at a page and then you look up and say, oh, Billy Bob's selling a new boat, or a boat, or somebody's selling a motorcycle. And then on the bulletin board was officers needed for a police industrial.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll sign up for that, And then I was the only one in the entire department that signed up. And the next thing you know, I get a call into the captain's office like, Scof, get in here. I'm like, what up, Cap? He goes, you're the only fucking guy that signed up on this fucking bank robbery thing. Now you're in charge.
Of the fucking holy shit.
Yeah, all right. So, but I was always writing in the squad car all the time because I loved television as a kid. I was writing stuff that I would see, and it was.
Where did that come from?
I
sparked your own interest?
Yeah, just like I started writing, and it was always comedy. because you'd see some of the craziest shit as a policeman, domestics that were beyond belief, right? So one thing leads to another, where I wound up coming back to him, I said, all right, I know what I want to do. I want 2 bigger female officers. I want to dress everybody in Dickies, everybody with ski mask, gloves, the whole bit. And I want the women to do all the commands, but as men, like, get over there, right? Move over, like that. And so then their job in the bank was to try to describe us, observe, do anything they tell you to do. If we said, you're dead, because the guy started like, you're not taking my money or whatever, because there's always one of those.
Right.
And we said, you're dead. You get on the ground. If you didn't get on the ground, then we would put him on the ground, like force him on the ground, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, we said, you're dead. And that would be it. And then he'd be out of the scene. But I mean, the girls behind the counter, we grabbed by the hair, give us the money, the whole bit, we got away. And then everybody loved it so much. And I had such a blast putting the whole production together, that when I told my sister I wanted to go down, I wanted to maybe get into acting, she said, will you come on to Second City? And I went to Second City, and I looked down a row at her, and I went, I can do this. And she says, yeah, I know. And there I was, next thing studying with, now I went from cops and robbers and bars to writers, ad agency execs, writers, art directors, poets, and things.
What year is this?
Back in 86.
Yeah, when getting into that was 84. So fucking hard too.
Yeah. So I mean, I did that, and then I had an offer, so I started looking into it, and I met this lady, Jan Marie, who wrote a book about interracial marriage, and it was a fantastic book. I worked with her quite a bit on it, and one thing led to the next, where I was got the opportunity to just learn about the business and everything. And then that led to a party I went to, and the guy said to me, hey, I was at a fashion party, and with all these like lead models and everything, and the guy that was throwing the party, I got talking, he says, what do you do again? He says, you're a cop. What are you doing? I mean, you should be in advertising, dude. Do you know how much money you can make if you moved into advertising, became a ad exec? And I was like, yeah, show me the way, dude. And he did. His name's Sandy Ostroff. He's really still to this day a good friend of mine, lives in Arizona in Tucson, fantastic photographer. And next thing you know, I'm building a business, and then after that, I got asked to move out to L.A., and I moved out to L.A., and then I had very big success with a couple different companies. I was partnered in a company called Zoic Studios. I started with Radium. We did it was out of San Fran. We opened up an office in Los Angeles for them, and the first job out of the gate for me was BMW Films with David Fincher. Was
BMW Films.
Yeah, it was with Clive Owen. And Clive was the main he was the driver, and that's the series is called The Driver. And then so what happens is that they got a storyboard in from Fallon Advertising out of Minneapolis, and they said, look, we got this 25-minute film we want to do. They sent it to Anonymous Pictures, which is still around, big company. Fincher owned it, and now
I've heard of that.
Yeah, a big company, big directors, everything. And so Fincher's, and so I get a call, and they said, Andy Trainus called me, and he said, Steve, Fallon just sent us this BMW project, and they want to do a short film about a series of different cars. I said, okay. And he says, yeah, they want to do it on the internet. Can you imagine that? They want to do it on the internet?
Yeah.
They can't even do it.
Yeah, that's impossible.
It's impossible, right? Because you had to download a Microsoft player. For 25 minutes it would take to download the player. Then you had to download the films, which took 20 minutes. So there was no way you could do a 25-minute film at the time, but you could do a 5-minute film that would take 20 minutes still to download. So Fincher came up with the idea. He was working on Panic Room. He came up with the idea of bringing in Jonathan Frankenheimer, Ang Lee, Wong Kar-wai, WKW. They brought in Madonna's. He did Lock, Stock, and Barrel. Trying to think of the director right now, but he was married to Madonna. And then they brought in
Madonna.
Yeah, Guy Ritchie. Yeah, so they brought in Guy Ritchie.
Fucking amazing director.
Yeah, it's Lock, Stock, and Barrel, and
one of my favorites. Yeah,
one of my favorites, right? So and then Alessandro Aierta, I think is a proper way of saying his name, and he won the Academy Award with one of his last films, and so. Yeah, we wound up doing all the storyboarding for it and everything else, and next thing you know, we were doing the film, and it was about $35 million project, and for us, it was probably 1.7 for visual effects, and then Jonathan Frankenheimer was the first one, and we shot.
And what was visual effects back then?
Oh, it was like shooting plates. We shot like plates so that when we were shooting in the studio, all the backgrounds were there. You know, like old school, like you remember you could see the car driving and it would be like, you know, Mary Tyler Moore, you know, show. And it's so fake, but this is so real. It's crazy. And then because we had to bring it all in the studio because we had monsoons here that week that we were shooting. And Frankenheimer, who shot Popeye Doyle and The French Connection, was known for chase scenes. And this whole movie was about chase scenes outside. Sort of hard to shoot a chase scene in a monsoon. Right. Yeah. And all the Muscos were just dropping like this. So he's like, get in my trailer. Trailer's the size of a fucking house. Get in my trailer. You, Schofield, Jonathan, the rest of you, get in here. And the next thing you know, we're in there deciding how we're going to, you know, shoot this thing. And he says, I want to take it inside old school, and that's what I want to do. So if anybody's watching the first film of BMW Films by Jonathan Frankenheimer, you'll see like lights going back in the car and everything, and the van doors opening up with these guys got the guns on them, and they're talking them through headsets. And that was actually in the studio, and the van was on rollers, and they're just pushing it back and forth. And the lights going back and forth. We're on clothes hanger, like things that you on set. They hung lights, and then they had two grips or two PAs pushing it back and forth.
Holy shit!
So it's great. So you have to watch it after we get done.
Sciencey.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. So that was like $1 million overage that we had come up, and we got it done. Every day I thought that job was going to get killed because there was so much money involved in it.
Yeah,
but we got it through. So that was the start of my career really taking off out here in LA. Plus, my partners brought in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, shit.
So that was one of the biggest ones. Then when we moved then we opened up Zoic, and that became like, Zoic became, big visual effects house.
The movie or the TV show?
Zoic Studios is a studio we owned. Yeah. Started with like 17 of us because we left with a bunch of people from Radium, which was a great company, but the gel wasn't there, you know, with getting along in it. And but great people and everything. And then we left, opened up Zoic in Culver City, and then we grew it to about 350 eventually. And then I left eventually and started an ad agency, a digital agency called Modop, and which was actually modus operandi because I was a cop. What's your MO? Digital was coming out with like how you could build your car. So we built a configurator for Subaru. We built a configurator for Ford, and work with Ford. Yeah, dude. So big stuff. It was good stuff.
Huge.
So cut to the reason I started Schofield's Flowers is that my entire life I grew up in a mob flower shop, or a flower shop that was known for being a mob flower shop from 1920 to 22 to 1930.
Wow, that's so much fucking business. I mean, all their girlfriends need flowers.
Oh,
all
the
debts.
The funerals.
All the debts going to the funerals going on. Like fucking insane. Let me turn this off.
So all the funerals are going down, all the bar mitzvahs, all the parties, you name it, anything that went down. I mean, you're talking like if somebody had a funeral, they're not dropping a C note, which is a hundo.
Yeah.
They're dropping 1,000.
Oh, easy,
right? If a guy brought, we had everybody walk in our shop from Sinatra to, you name it, they walked in. Marilyn Monroe, you name it, they all came into our flower shop. They were in Chicago. So we became known as so Jaime de Pol, after O'Banion was killed, his best friend, Jaime de Pol Weiss, took over. He was like the business side of the business, but he was also the biggest hitman in the group.
Yeah.
And he would go across the street. We were directly across the street. So he's Polish and Jewish. And he went directly across the street to Holy Name Cathedral, a Catholic church, every day, 12 o'clock Mass, to pray for his sins.
Wow, yeah.
Right? And so then they knew his M.O., his modus operandi.
Yeah.
Right? And so they wound up gunning him down on the Holy Name Cathedral steps, which then led to Bugs Moran, his other partner and third in command, took over the North Side Gang, which used to be the O'Banion Gang.
Yeah.
And they wound up, the rest of them wound up getting killed in the St. Valentine's Massacre on February 14th, 1929. That was the thing that did in Capone, because the city had had enough of all the gangsters, of all the shootings, of all the rape and pillaging. And I mean, I'm reading a book now by Rose Keefe, Keefe. It's a fantastic book. And it's on Dion O'Banion. And he was a premier gangster before Capone came in. He ran everything. And if you think about unions and everything else, right, it was all run by the mob.
Of course,
all the trash, everything that had anything to do with anything.
What I tell people is Cuba was Bill. Al Capone was in Cuba and running those casinos and everything else because he got tired of dealing with the CIA busting him for during Prohibition.
Yep.
They were like, dude, 90 miles away. The first international flight, fun fact, the first international flight out of the United States was to Cuba.
Yeah.
You know, but Al Capone was there.
Yeah, yeah. So
He was everywhere.
So then cut to then my dad. So as I was a kid, so the flower shop went through some tough times in the 30s, did it better in the 40s. My grandfather, we used to have a safe the size of this wall here.
Yeah.
And that's safe because my grandfather lost all his money in the Depression. He owned a full block of State Street, like from State to Dearborn, Chicago Avenue to Superior. Lost everything, wound up renting our flower shop out after owning all this property because of the Depression. So he never kept any money in the bank again. So I can remember like these big bank doors with the roller, opener and everything, lock opening up. But when I was in the 60s growing up as a kid, I remember my dad.
And watch out with the tapping because you know how it sounds on the speakers and stuff. Yeah, just in case.
Yeah. So when I would watch my dad meeting with friends and everybody coming in, I was like, see, I would never noticed it, but until my mom, on the way to my dad's funeral in 1974, she said, hey, listen, I want to tell you something about your dad. And because you're going to meet a lot of people at his funeral, like 2,800 people came to my dad's funeral. It was massive, the mayor on down, right? Firemen, fire chief, police chief, everybody. My dad knew everybody in the city because we did flowers for everybody, right? So next thing you know, she says, when your dad did not go to flower school when you were 8 years old, your dad went to a federal penitentiary called Sandstone Penitentiary.
Oh, because you were under the impression he went to flower school. School.
Yeah,
That's
well, I was told when you're 8 years old, your dad's told you, I'm running around. My mom and dad call me. Some guys show up in suits taking my dad away because they had the same outfits, black hat, white shirt, black tie, black shirt.
Yeah.
Everything was black and white, right? And the next thing you know, they're like taking my dad away. And I'm like, all right, Dad, I'll see you when you get home. And then back to hockey right in the street. And the next thing you know, my dad isn't around. My mom's having a nervous breakdown. It was really tough times for us. And, and I remember that, but I didn't really remember how tough it was until she started saying things. Because it looked like the same two guys coming, but now the guys were in white suits, white hats, black brim, black ties, black shoes, and they were coming from a mental institution. And my mom was committed to wasn't committed, but she was committed to a hospital. And the ambulance drivers all wore white.
That's right.
Police wore the blue. The feds wore the black, or brown, like that. So they came, got my mom, and now my grandmother's taking care of us. So it turns out that she says your dad was and then she goes, your dad was a bookie in the city, and he got caught by the FBI in a raid. And along with 18 other guys, and everything was supposed to be taken care of, but it wasn't. And Judge Julius Hoffman, who was involved in trying to prosecute the Chicago 7, and with Abby Hoffman, Tom Hayden, who was our congressman here for many years and was married to Jane Fonda, but they were, if you haven't seen the movie, the Chicago 7 trial, or the trial of Chicago 7. It's fantastic.
I haven't seen that.
It's on Netflix. It's absolutely fantastic. And it'll give you the history of 1968 and the Democratic Convention and all the riots that were going down because of Vietnam. And everything that was just happening with Black Lives Matter and all the rioting and everything, it had never left. 68 to last 2 years, identical. What's going on in this country, right? So I find out, if you watch the movie, you see how corrupt the judge is, right? Well, that judge refused to take a plea bargain from my dad's attorney, and he said the family had been in the mob forever, since the beginning of time, and we're sentencing your dad to go away. And so he went away for a year, which was really hard. It was like they used to call it the country club, but being that my dad he tried to have kids for so long, my mom finally could have kids, and it was hard for her and hard for him, and he went in dark hair and came out gray hair. And so,
wow.
Now I tell people, but when my mom said it, I said, well, that's pretty cool. He was a bookie, huh? And now you can book online. So it's crazy, right? Like marijuana. How many guys are in jail for marijuana?
Well, that's the whole case right now with that WNBA girl.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh my God, that's fucked up. They need to get her out. They need to get her out. It was just weed. It was just weed. It's like, wait, time out. We still have people in jail right now for just weed.
Yeah.
And nobody's fucking losing their mind about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And they that's where we should be letting them go. They
right.
serve
Or
their
the
time.
prohibition, same thing. They were fucking alcohol. Come on.
Right.
And look at the Great Depression that it created.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is with
cycles repeat.
I know. It's always. So, with me then, knowing all this history, and my dad, oh, by the way, at the same time my dad was in Sandstone prison, so was the two guys from Watergate, Ehrlichman and Aldrin.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's this great,
era,
place. So now I'm reading this book, Dean O'Banion, The True Story of a North Side Gang Member. It's fantastic because, I mean, the 1900s, holy cow, I mean, everybody was on the take. Everybody was robbing everybody. Safecrackers, thugs, rape and pillage. I mean, Irish against the Italian. It was like everybody, it was all territorial. It's like where we've come from is incredible. Where we're going right now, who knows?
But to add to that point, people are like, man, it's crazy times right now. Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute. It's always been fucking crazy. Yeah. I mean, 100 years ago, they would fucking, stone you if you started talking about.
They'll still stone you in some countries.
And they'll still stone you. Yeah. But, we go around the sun, or the sun goes around us, which, it's always been violent.
Yeah.
America's history's been.
Yeah, very. I mean, some other countries are more violent because they haven't progressed or whatever. Of course. But, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I decided that growing up in that flower shop, there were so many stories, so many people I met, so many cool things. And our shop, my dad came out, he did his time, and it was like, my mom actually won later on in the case. She won a lot of money back for us and for her. And we decided to give up.
How long was she in? Because
he was in just a year, nine and a half months.
No, but your mother.
My mom came out, she just was in the hospital for 2-3 months.
2-3 months, yeah.
Yeah, and then my grandmother took over for us. So imagine your grandmother takes over for you. She never went to a day of high school. Graduated 8th grade, got married young, grew up in Kentucky, and the next thing you know, you're like...
Kentucky, fuck.
Yeah, so it's
even Kentucky right now is like, fuck, Just kidding, You know what I mean.
But I mean, so for me, even for writing, it was like for school and everything, it was a little tough. I was never a great student because I didn't have anybody. I had ADHD. I wasn't I just didn't have anybody to teach me. People were gone in my life. So it's interesting that I went to go see Sal Bellows, who owned a beautiful bookstore in Chicago. And I went up to him after I was a policeman and starting to write a lot. I said to him, hey, I really want to start writing. I got into advertising, and I said, I really want to start writing. And he said to me, even while I was on the police department, I met with him, and I said, Sal, I really want to start writing. And I said, but I'm not a great writer, and, just blah, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, all you need is a number 2 pencil and a yellow pad and write. You can always get somebody to write, correct everything for you, get a secretary at the time, and just write. And I then started working with the dictaphone and talking into the phone, and I'd give it to somebody and start writing. So I've written a book with 2 other guys that were involved in the actual writing, and then I dictated everything to them, and we worked together. It was a story by me, and it's
that's awesome.
It's 4 different short stories about growing up in a mob flower shop. I'm talking to a couple people now about writing a book, a memoir about my life as a kid, and that's the reason. Sorry for the long explanation, but you sort of got to figure out how I got there.
Yeah, of course.
And so advertising's been very good to me.
So
I've had
exciting,
a great career, and then I brought back the brand because this logo is from 1896.
Fucking insane, man.
And so there's a lot of history. I mean, cut to a couple years ago, I get a call from a guy saying, hey, are you Steve Schofield from Schofield's Flowers? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And he goes, he says, I got to tell you something. I got the original door from the Schofield's Flowers from 1896. I'm like, how did you get the original door? He goes, so every single gangster that you could ever imagine walked through that door and pushed through it with their hand.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, if that door could talk, you'd have incredible history and ghosts coming out of it, right?
Yeah.
So he said in 40s, when the shop was torn down in the very first place, he goes, there was a lady driving, and she had a convertible, and she was with her boyfriend. And as she was driving past the place, they were just throwing things out. And she looked at this. She pulled over and she said to the guys throwing everything out into the trash, she said the whole building was coming down, right? Because they were putting in the subways and everything, so it was screwing up a lot of the buildings back then. So, our Schofields then moved from State and Superior to Superior and Dearborn for like 32 years, and then they moved back to State and Superior, but on the south side of the street, across like diagonal from the Holy Name Cathedral. But she said, hey, can I have that door? And the guy said, yeah, take the door. So she threw the door in the back of her convertible, and she took the door home, and that door went everywhere with her. So I'm not kidding you. So she literally brought from home to home to home and put it in the basement, never did anything with this door. Now, it's a huge wood door with a little door that opens up, like, who's there?
Like right, the little fucking one. Yeah,
right? And
so, like nightclub and
so
stuff.
I get a call from the guy, and he's like, Jason's the guy's name, out of like some little town in the Midwest, about 2 hours from Chicago. And he says, I said, I got to be in Chicago next week. I said, why don't I drive out and see it? So I went out to see the door and everything. We got a picture of it and everything. And I was just blown away. And I said, so how did you get this door? He goes, well, she just went into an old folks home, the lady, and she told her daughter, please give this door to an antique dealer or to a museum. And her daughter found an antique dealer right there near Antioch, Illinois, or something like that. And he's got collection of doors from all over the country. That's like psychiatric ward doors. I know he bought a building for like $7,000. The building was like an old car garage. I'm like, you paid $7,000. This will go for $1 million in LA. And I walked in there and it was door after door after door after door. It was absolutely incredible. Like psychiatric doors, like do not enter.
Like right? He's the doors.
Yeah. I told him, I said, you got to do you need to set up all these doors along the highway or do something where they're like, right? Yeah. And each has a little story behind them, like a little podcast maybe set up where you hashtag, put a hashtag on there and a
QR code or something. Yeah. You fucking scan the door.
And scan it, and then you put it on your ears, and then you can listen to it as you walk by. And this door is from a psychiatric ward from
Make a museum out of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So anyways, I stay in touch with him now, but that's the reason I brought back Schofield's, because there's so many stories and so much content that we've created. And so the Schofield's Flowers is a content shop. So we shoot a lot of big commercials, and then we do a lot of experiential work. I actually got a call from Netflix from a producer friend of mine, Brian Sharman, and one of my favorite producers in the world.
That could be a TV show after you write your book.
Yeah. So I'm talking, trust me, there's a lot going on with the brand, because now we just went through COVID. It started 3 years ago. It
continued on the Right Balance podcast, just for the record.
So now it's like, Brian called me and he said, hey, I'm in a situation where we're doing this project for Netflix, and the company they hired is not hitting a home run, and we need help. I know you're from Chicago. We want to build this project outside in Chicago. I said, what is it? And he goes, this story of Chicago 7, the trial of Chicago 7. It's a movie coming out. And I said, I know it well. And he goes, I said, I'm from Chicago. I know it happened, and I remember everything in the papers. And I said, all the riots going down at Grant Park in Chicago.
Yeah, you knew the public record stuff, the behind the scenes.
So they had all the photography that they had they purchased for like $100,000. They had actual 5 beautiful photos that they wanted to display in a museum there in Chicago, but it was COVID and nobody was going there. So then it was like, okay, so maybe we'll put it in a train station. You know how you go in a train station, you can see this really nice setup of, you see a photo expose or whatever.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do that because nobody's coming in on the train. The city's empty. So I said, why don't you just put it in the park where it happened, in Grant Park? I said, you could do that. He goes, yeah, but what if something happens with the photos, if they get destroyed or whatever? I mean, I brought on a great creative director and a producer, and we just laid it all out for him. I said, you put the photos in a plexiglass, he goes, well, what about damage and graffiti and stuff? I said, you hire a security crew, and so it's production, and we just hire everything, and it just absolutely came out like amazing. And I'll send you some pictures if you want to add them to the podcast.
Yeah,
it's incredible what we did in regards to it. And it was a huge hit, and people could walk around. It was a stand where you got the whole history of everything, and then QR codes set up at every photo, and the photos went for like 2 blocks in Grant Park, and people got to walk around during COVID and get, a little bit of history. And it's absolutely a fantastic case study.
This is where I can't wait for what is it, AR? augmented reality. Yeah. Like the day that you can walk through one of those parks and just scan the QR with your glasses and just fucking get that AR.
Oh yeah.
That's good. And we're close. We're right there.
I've been talking with Include. They're a great AR company. I've actually just approached the Mob Museum. And if you haven't been to the Mob Museum in Vegas, it's one of the coolest places you'll ever go. It's 4 stories of
I've been to the building, and I forgot what happened. I got into a fight with an ex-girlfriend, and we never made it in.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Her.
Yeah, her, exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah, so that's a cool place. I'm talking to them about like how they can do a road show.
Yeah.
You know, how they could literally take the Mob Museum anywhere, like do it in a speakeasy, do it in
of course.
There's a great Airbnb in Chicago called 1920s Airbnb.
1920s
Airbnb. And it was an actual, it was a whorehouse, it was a gambling place, it was everything that you would have in the 20s.
Yeah.
And they even got the roost where the gangster would just come up these stairs, and all of a sudden there's a gangster standing there with a sawed-off shotgun because the wrong guy came in. They'd blast them, right? So people have been killed in this building. So this buddy of mine took over the entire building and turned it into an Airbnb, and they've got 6 rooms there. And they're absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is just go to 1920s Airbnb Chicago gangster place.
So because you know the topic so well, just for shits and giggles, where did the hey wise guy, hey get over here, hey, where did that accent come from? And obviously it was just a style, you know. But like
honestly, I don't know. But who did that? Who was James?
No, Bugsy. Like
Bugsy. Hey,
wise
probably
guy.
Because they were all from New York and Jersey at the time.
Yeah,
you know, back in the day. I mean, there's so much history.
There's so much history. Do you know Arthur J. Williams?
I don't.
Okay. He was just on the podcast like 5 episodes ago. He's from Chicago. He was the #1 counterfeiter of the $100 bill of 1996. You know, and his story in Chicago and growing up, like similar. Chicago's a fucking crazy place to grow up, it seems like, you know, but very similar. But I thought because you were a cop and he was the opposite of a cop.
I don't know it, but, you know, it's interesting that, I mean, Chicago's a city that works.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when Mayor Daley was in office and his son, Richard Daley, that city sang like that city ran like no tomorrow. I mean, I can remember that they came after Richard Daley, or Jr., and they went after him because they said he was hiring all his relatives for the park district, for the city, for everything. And he's like, well, I trust them. Why wouldn't I hire them?
Yeah.
What am I going to hire somebody I don't trust?
Exactly.
Because they know their family and they're going to take care of the parks and they're going to take care of the city. They're going to make sure it's clean. There's no potholes or anything. And now you got the South Side. It's just a mess, right?
Yeah.
It's murder capital of the U.S. right now. That and a couple other areas in the United States. So it's like,
and they have the strictest gun laws.
Yeah, it's what was that?
And they have the strictest gun laws in the United States.
Chicago does?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Chicago has that. That's always the example that Chicago has the strictest gun laws, and they have the most gun violence. So the point, you know, obviously, if you look at it as a case study, to ban all guns, you're not stopping any bad guys. You know, you're just preventing, you know, legal citizens from getting guns to protect themselves.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And that's what happens in Chicago. A lot of the businesses can't have guns and protect themselves, and they get targeted all the fucking time.
Yeah, and then they got rid of search and seizure there in Chicago. So,
did they?
Yeah, so now you just can't stop you for anything. So they've contained it to a main area.
Yeah.
Like it is here, and probably, you know, I mean, Compton's getting a lot better now, and it's getting more gentrified and everything. But anywhere there's a gang situation, there's going to be, you know, whether it be East LA or whatever it is, it's just, I mean, it's still bad, man. It's terrible. And then you have, you know, a lot of different gangs coming in, like from what is it, something 8 coming in from El Salvador's here, big time. I mean, it's just like it's
MS8.
What is it?
MS8.
Yeah, MS8. So that's like, you know, a situation.
But that's always been going on, man.
Yeah.
Like it's always been going on. But I understand your point, and the point is like with today's technology, with the information we have, with the amount of cameras and security, with the alertness that, you know, everybody, you know, call 911 or report or with cell phones, to still see it's sad. It's sad that it's 2022 and we're dealing with problems that like
it's pretty crazy. And but the cool thing about the cameras being everywhere is they're capturing these guys right away.
Yeah.
Like those guys that were doing the 7-Eleven robberies, right?
They caught them instantly.
You know, so I mean, if you don't have your shit together as a burglar or a gunman, whatever you're doing, if you don't plan your shit out properly, you're going down because the cameras are getting you. Same with any of the folks that they get, you know, for the shooting. Look how fast they got that kid out of Highland Park, Illinois, for shooting those poor people at the 4th of July parade.
Instantly.
They had him instantly within like 5-6 hours. They had him, and you know,
right here, down the street on Moore Park, Moore Park in Laurel Canyon. 3 weeks ago, cop pulled over a guy. Guy came out, shot the cop in the eye. You know, the cop lived.
I heard.
They caught him the next day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They took the video from the car. They got his license plate. Went to the place. They sent SWAT team for his whole entire apartment building. Found the roommate. The roommate's like, that's him. They found them in a park with a homeless park inside of a tent. They're like, oh, track camera.
And now what's going on with the 6th Street Bridge is even.
Oh, I know, man. I took such a great shot before they even opened it. You know, the grand opening. So they opened it up at like 7:30. I flew the drone over it like at 7 o'clock. So just no cars. Beautiful.
And you had magic hour?
Yeah. And
wow.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I drove on it this Sunday. And fuck, man. It's fucked. You're talking about burnt rubber, forward donuts, like completely fucked. You're starting to see tagging on it. Like it's just, I think they shut it down already 4 times.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it's like, I say, charge them and send them away.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just got back. We ride motorcycles, right?
Yeah.
I just got back from a 5-country tour. I went to Europe, flew into Brussels, and then went to Germany, Luxembourg, France, Italy, and I might be missing one. Oh, and Switzerland. Unbelievable. And there's no graffiti.
None.
You can eat off the floors. I mean, off the ground, you could eat something. You don't have the 5-second rule there. You got the hour rule. Drop it and go pick it up later. Oh, I dropped my bagel. Go back and pick it. Even with the cream cheese on the ground.
No problem.
No problem. It's so clean, so nice. But they said, the speeding, be careful because they said they'll just impound your bike.
Yeah.
Like what? And they go 15 over, impound your bike.
Done.
And then whatever the bike costs, they charge you 10% of the fee of the bike. So like a guy ripping down the street in a Ferrari, doing like 100 miles an hour, and they get him, and a Ferrari's worth a hundo, 100,000. He's going to have to pay 10,000 to get his car out of impound and for the ticket. I mean, he could probably afford it, but like, there's no bullshit whatsoever. It's like you spend
zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance on every aspect in the biz or every aspect in life. You don't see anybody dropping a chewing gum wrapper or flicking even a cigarette. They don't even throw the cigarette.
Singapore, chewing gum's illegal.
Yeah.
And in Dubai, just like you said, it is fucking clean. Like it is. Yeah. These are countries that you travel to, and when you fly back into LA, you're like, just from the plane, you're like, what the fuck is going on? This is an expensive ass village. Yeah. It looks like a village compared to other parts of the world.
No, it's crazy. I mean,
an expensive village. And then you start driving and the streets are all fucked up. Yeah. The buildings are all old. You're like, what is going on here? And it's overpriced.
Yeah, one of the other areas, I mean, I might be going to Dubai in October.
Have you been?
I've never been. Have you?
Yeah, 3 times.
You have?
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
How is it?
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
This is how I describe it. I've been to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Qatar.
Wow.
Dubai's Vegas, Abu Dhabi's Miami, and Qatar's Palm Springs. I was stuck in Qatar for 3 weeks. It hurt. Imagine being stuck in Palm Springs for 3 weeks. Like 2 days is cool. You know what I mean? Like 2 days is like you saw it all.
Yeah.
3 weeks was tough, but Abu Dhabi's really nice. It's about an hour and a half drive. I drove it, and the smoothest roads ever.
Imagine.
Ever. And you just, I use Waze.
Yep.
And Waze is just like, just go straight and go over the bridge. Watch out, speed trap, and quarter mile, you slow down for the speed. Because over there, they don't pull you over. You speed, they take a picture, that's it, you pay a ticket. End of story.
Yep.
End of story. So, and Waze catches it all.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just had an NFT gallery we launched I got into NFTs in the past year.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
So we launched. I work with an artist partner of mine that Arik Salima, and he is Salome is his actual. I always say I'm always killing his name, but he's Moriarty.art. He's a terrific artist, and we had an artist out of. So he introduced me to the NFT side of things. I said, I've been very interested, and he said, well, listen, I want to, if you want, there's a big event going on, NFT NYC, October of last year. And I said, I'd love to go. And I said, but, and so I said, how much is it? I was checking into it. I was like, I don't know enough. I don't know if I want to drop that money into it or not. And then I went to a wedding on Sunday the same week, and all of a sudden everybody was going to it because the guy was a big NFT artist at the wedding I was at in Santa Barbara. So, excuse me. So I called him up. I said, let's book it. And we went. Great experience. Then we went to Art Basel.
Yeah.
I went to that, and they had Bit Basel. So we went there, and we won a bunch of awards on his work. And then we went from there to back to New York because at Art Basel, we met a guy that said, hey, I got these empty walls in this space. Love to talk to you about it and have you, be involved in everything and put your NFT screens up and that. We found an NFT screen company to work with, Metasil, and really fantastic. And next thing, that deal went sort of south because it just wasn't the right setup. So I was at South by Southwest and bumped into a company called Infinite Reality, who's building out metaverse for companies,
wow,
right? Which is huge right
Humongous.
now. I mean,
hot topic, yeah.
Jose Cuervo just built a metaverse just this past weekend.
Really?
Yeah. I got the article. I'll send it to you. So is this Jose?
Yeah, that's Jose.
Yeah. So, we should try that.
Yeah, that's what the shot. Yeah, you want a shot?
Let's do a shot.
Of course.
So that was like, that was it's a big wake up call because if NFTs is just really about really about being on the ledger and being somebody says, well, I could just take a picture of it and put it up on my screen. I said, no, but you don't own it.
Yeah.
This is about ownership. You have a ledger that proves that.
Yeah, it's like you could take a picture of my office and say, hey, look, it's a picture of Robert's office, but you're not in it.
Yeah. So, it doesn't matter. So that's an area that, I met with this company, and the next thing cheers.
Cheers. This is great catching up with you.
You too, man. It's like 20 years.
Yeah, it's like 20 years.
Hey, this podcast will be going on for the next 24 hours, so take a nap, come back, we'll still be here.
That's right. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother. That's good.
Yeah, no, the 18. This is Jose Cuervo, but this is the 1800 version, Reposado. Yeah,
you can't. I love Reposado.
Do you remember tequila fucking 20 years ago? How bad it was.
Oh man.
Anyways,
tequila hangovers would be the death of you. Right?
We would have been hungover after one shot. Like, we cut. Part 2 coming soon.
So now we cut to met with Infinite Reality, and I said, hey, they said I'm looking for. We got talking. I was telling one guy. And I said, God, Michael Ginn is his name. And Michael, God, your name sounds so familiar. And we couldn't figure it out. So I said, I need to open up a gallery in New York, and like now. And he says, we just rented a 3,000 square foot space, and that's what we want to do, NFTs. We have nobody. Why don't you come in and partner with us? I'm like, done. So I called my guy that I work with, Brad Albright, out of New York. He's a big finance guy, and he's in the NFT side of things too. And I said, Brad, do me a favor. Go over to see, the space and let me know what you think. So I said, guy's name's Michael Ginn. I'll introduce himself and just walk around and talk to Michael. No problem. He shows up. Michael opens up the door. The minute he opens the door, he says the same thing. He goes, well, you look really familiar. And he goes, yeah, you do too. Where do you live? He goes, I live in Connecticut. He goes, oh, yeah, so do I. What town? Whatever town it was, like Smithville. He goes, I live in Smithville. He goes, you're kidding me. He goes, what's your address? Like 1920 Smith. He goes, I live at 1927 Smith. They were neighbors.
They're fucking, wow.
They were fucking neighbors, right?
Wow.
So the next thing he calls me, he said, you got to do the deal with these guys. Next thing you know, we're doing the deal. We had an amazing opening in April 14th with Moriarty, and then we took a month off, and then we built out NFT NYC. We had 3 openings, one of none, which is owned, the brand is owned by 2 football players and NFLers, and that was an incredible opening. And then we had a space series with my buddy Kyle Schember and his partner artist and astronaut, Dr. Sion Proctor, who just went up in Inspiration 4 with SpaceX.
Huge.
First black female NFT artist citizen to pilot a rocket ship into outer space.
Fuck, say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, fantastic. And then that led to us...
First and then we have black female NFT artist citizen
to pilot...
World citizen to pilot a fucking spaceship into...
outer space. They orbited the Earth 4 times.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Congrats. That's amazing.
She's so cool.
Do you know her name?
Yeah, Dr. Sion Proctor.
Dr. Sion Proctor.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Dr. Proctor? Isn't that the guy from Ghostbusters?
Yeah. I don't think she's married to him or his brother or relative. Yeah. But yeah, she's great. I mean, I even asked her, I said, God, what was that thing? I walked up, I said, when that thing was taken off, did you just shit in your pants?
Yeah.
She goes, well, they cleaned us out before we go up. Like, you know.
They have to,
Yeah. I was like, damn. And it's like, just to listen to her. But, you know, space right now, space is so important for the environment, and people don't realize that. That is like our testing ground.
Oh, yeah.
How we're fucking up down here. That's our testing ground of how we might need to go up there.
Right.
Because we're going to fuck this shit up.
You know why it's called space, right?
Huh?
You know why it's called space, right?
Why?
Because there's so much of it. And then Elon Musk made a great point. He says, look, every 100 years, there's a 1% chance that something can happen to the Earth. Either we can fuck ourselves up with nuclear missiles, there could be an Earth catastrophe, you know, a fucking meteoroid. Something can happen. And the thing is that if we don't have a backup plan, like going to Mars or going to, you know, other fucking places, and that 1% hits, we're fucked.
Yeah.
We're completely fucked. So it has to be, which is another excellent point that he was saying. He goes, we're not saying we're the only smart creatures, but we're going to be like the first ones that go interstellar.
Yeah.
And in our journey of 1,000 years from now, we might land on a planet that there was humans. And they're dead now, you know, because something happened to their place.
Right.
But you know, right now we're starting to become the interstellar ones.
I'm a big fan. I mean, the guy I met him years ago.
Elon Musk is.
I met him right when he started Tesla.
Neuralink and fucking. I mean,
the guy's
PayPal. Come on, man.
He's a savant. He just sold PayPal. When I met him, he was on a podcast, no different than this, with Alex Bogusky. He ran. Crispin Porter Bogusky, an ad agency that blew up. Alex sold his shares and opened up the cottage. And the next thing you know, they're doing. He's doing a podcast with Elon Musk. I was heading to Sturgis. I stopped by to see him on my motorcycle. His dad was outside, who I'd met, and he's like, "Scof, what's up?" The old man's outside, and I says, "How much?" He goes, "He's doing a podcast in there with some guy. I don't know." Musk or something like that. I'm like, oh, Jesus, okay. And I really didn't know that much about Elon Musk, but the night before, I saw in Boulder, Colorado, they had on the corner, one of the busiest streets, he had a showroom.
Yeah.
One car on a turntable with the lights on it, right?
Right.
Beautifully lit. Everything was perfect, right? Coming out soon. He also owned one of the top restaurants there. And I forgot that he owned PayPal, right? So then next thing you know, Alex walks out to say something to his dad. He's like, I'm sitting there with this old man having a cigar. He's like, Scof, what the fuck? And I'm like, hey, Alex. I said, I wanted to come in. He says, come on in. I want to introduce you to Elon Musk. And I'm like, Elon Musk? Oh, wow. I think I know that guy, but I didn't know.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Sounds familiar, right?
Yeah, but
he
back
introduces me. And back then, he's introduced me. And like, oh, nice to meet you. And he looks at me like all confused. I look at him, and Alex says, you look confused, Scof. You don't know who he is, do you? And I go, I do, but I don't. And he goes, PayPal. I go, oh, shit. Yeah, now I know. You just sold it. Yeah. And he goes, and Tesla. And I said, oh, wow, Jesus. I mean, your showroom here is absolutely fantastic. Then he said, and then he owns a restaurant called blah, blah, blah. And I said, I had dinner last night with a bunch of your people, former people from the agency. And I go, fantastic, great. Liquor is fantastic. And Alex goes, of course you know the liquor in the restaurant. I'm like, well, that's what I do for a living, right? But he was super cool, shook my hand, gave me a hug. We had a good laugh. And then, I haven't seen him since. But, I mean, just to see his marketing. I mean, here's a true car company that doesn't have any, he is the advertising.
Right.
There is no advertising for Tesla.
Yeah.
He has built that brand beyond, right?
Beyond. And I was just thinking about Tesla when we were talking about security and cameras. You know, I have the Model S.
Oh, it's a great car.
Oh, my God. It's fucking fast. It's the fastest car.
My son has that.
Yeah, it's the fastest car in the fucking world. But the reason I was thinking about it is because it has if anybody even walks by the car,
sip it.
Sip it, exactly. If anybody even walks by the car, it just turns on cameras and records it, and I get a text message. I could see if they walk towards the front, towards the side. I could see inside the car. Like, it's just, and the other thing is nobody fucks with Teslas. And I mean, nobody fucks with Teslas. Criminals don't fuck with Teslas because everything's recorded.
Yep.
Cops don't fuck with Teslas because they know it's a responsible individual driving the fucking car.
Right.
And they can't keep up, if anything.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
no, I know. My son grabbed one.
Nobody fucks with them.
My son grabbed one and he wrapped it and wrapped it the same color. I'm like, what'd you just think? He goes, Dad, in 4 years I'll sell it for a lot of money because it'll be clean as ever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's
you could have done any color.
Yeah, I know, but he loved that flat gray.
Yeah.
That flat dark gray with the black rims and everything.
Yeah, of
and
course.
then he has the little he bought into the different horns and everything, and he's got like he can play Christmas Story on it, and the windows went up and down for Christmas,
it sings,
and the lights and sings and everything. I was just like, and his kid loves it.
Did you see the whippy cushion?
Yeah, he's got the whippy cushion. I mean, his kids get a kick out of it, right?
Hilarious.
So it's just like, I mean, just where tech is going, and then just to see like the type of response we also had, besides the Space Series, we had another brand there that Helvetica jumped in with us.
Which one?
Known Unknown, Helvetica, the type, monotype. So you use Helvetica when you're typing, your messages and things all the time. Okay. You go to, while you're writing a letter to somebody or filling out, just look at what you're using. If you're using Helvetica, that company just did a big NFT release with us.
That's awesome.
In New York. So, but we talked about a lot of the different things that are happening with, NFTs and where the business is going and where tech is going and where glasses are going. And it's just, it's a different world. And like what you mentioned about AI, I mean,
well, AI is insane, but the big one that I'm waiting for is AR.
Yeah, AI. Well, yeah, I'm sorry, AR, but AI is even more insane.
Oh, AI is fucking super crazy.
Because it's like now you're not talking to anybody. You're talking to
You're not talking to anybody, and there's already rumors about they've developed softwares that write code at a speed that within 10 days, it's writing so fast we can't even duplicate it or even be close to it as humans.
Well, you'll be able to actually, in the future, go in and have literally you can talk to your kids, talk to your grandkids, and tell stories to their kids and their kids and their kids in photoreal. And whatever that story's about, AI will then capture and expand on it through the history they grab from the tech.
Look, that's fucking crazy.
Right, so you'll never die. I mean, you're dead.
You're dead, but you'll never die.
You'll never die in your family. Like,
which is interesting because a buddy of mine, Kai, he was telling me about, there's a book, I can't remember the name of the book, but it's basically a warrior that has to face war at the current moment, and he's trying to access his DNA and reach his father and grandfather and grandfather and see what strategic ways they would have handled the responsibility of going into war and what to do in this war, because it's in our DNA.
Yeah.
So that I forgot. I think they made a movie about it too, but there's that. And then the other one, just as crazy as what you're saying, but same concept, is Elon Musk was talking about the Neuralink.
Oh yeah.
And he goes, check this out. He goes, in 5 to 10 years, once Neuralink is out, which it's out right now, in 5 to 10 years, you'll be able to download this and you'll be able to access your memories so fucking vividly, okay? So vividly that you will be able to go to your 18-year-old memory and see your 18-year-old self and converse with your 18-year-old self and remember how you would respond back then.
Wow.
And be like, what the fuck was this? This is when you this is when you crashed the car, man. What happened? Yeah. Fuck, remember we were going to go to so-and-so. Like, you can have that interaction. Like, how?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't have many pictures of my dad. I got like 3 or 4 pictures.
Yeah.
And my mom, too. It's just like, and some of our grandparents, I got more than that. I probably got about 20 pictures of my mom and dad and when I was a kid and everything, but everything was on Polaroids or,
Yeah, the quality were terrible.
The quality was terrible and everything. And now AI can take a photograph and make it even...
Enhance
it to today, almost to today's date. Because we had to do that with the photos on the... we had to enhance the photos a bit with the Chicago 7 trial.
Right.
Because of, we were blowing up to 5 by 10. So it was crazy how big they were, right?
Yeah.
So,
and what people don't understand, those Polaroids to blow it up at that size was almost impossible. Well, it was impossible at one point.
Yeah.
But now technology is better.
I mean, for me, it's hard for me to retire right now. I feel like I want to retire and just go on a motorcycle trip around the world. But, but then I look at things and I just love where the business is at and where technology is taking. And I've been in tech a long time, and visual effects, and always knew that pipelines were key to, anything that we did. Previs is really super big. Talking on a big casino job where it's all visual effects, and we're just like, well, we'll just previs the whole thing out, and you'll see what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and then it's like that's your working piece goes into the data of the camera, or it goes into the data on a screen, and you can match everything up, and you shoot the plate the way you want it, and you got the previs animation reacting to whatever, and it's just like, it's crazy what you can do.
It's fucking wild.
You don't even need to do green screen anymore. You just roto it out. It's easier to roto.
Yeah.
It's it's nuts. It's just,
I like it. It's insane. Not necessarily retirement, but I just got a brochure, and they're building it right now, and it's a ship. It's like a ship yacht where you can rent or buy a unit, and it starts from like 300 square feet to like 3,500 square feet. There's a gym. There's a school, kindergarten to 12th grade. Oh my God. It's for people that do online business. People that do online. So instead of you're a world citizen.
You gotta show me that.
I'll show you. The brochure is fucking amazing. So
oh my God.
It's got 4 bars. It's got multiple restaurants, and all that it's doing is just sailing the world. And you could just get off in Italy, and it's going to be there for 3 days. But let's say you want to stay longer, you stay longer. Yeah. And then you just look on your fucking app of where the boat's going to be and the ship's going to be in 2 weeks. And you just make sure you're at that port in 2 weeks, jump back on, jump off, stay on, work, network, communicate, like just fucking brilliant. And you wake up every day somewhere different.
I have no overhead. It's great. I mean, I just zoom. You get a little tired of it, but I was just talking to a client. He goes, well, they want to do the visual effects in New York. I go, why? He goes, well, they want to sit in a room and eat and drink their, your food and blah, blah, blah. I said, why? I said, let them, I'll send them a bottle and I'll send them a pizza. It's like, guys, you don't have to be here. We're going to do everything we're going to do everything on a computer.
Yeah.
It's like, why even, we'll be there on set. We'll be there with the supervisors. We'll shoot it, but you don't have to be here with us. I mean, it's like, yeah, we'll pre-visit all out. This is what it's going to be. Enjoy. And it is nice being on set. I just shot an Adidas campaign for the NCAA and the All-Star game here for the Dodgers and everything. And it was great being on set again. But and it was just great being around people again. But I do like the way we're working now. I mean, it's simple.
It is simple. It changed the world.
I mean, if you want, I go over to a bike shed and hang out and work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, what a great place that is.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Yeah. They did I'm going to have them. Actually, by the time I publish this, I'll already have the podcast done with them. But I'm doing Vicky and Dutch, the owners.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get their full story, and that's going to be a really exciting
it's got to be amazing. Vicky just looks fantastic. She's in great shape and just takes care of herself, and the place looks like, it's just, everything's great about the place.
It's so fucking cool.
I can't say a negative thing. I told the GM
even the prices. You know what's you know what's the number one thing that I heard? Yeah. Number one thing that I hear is they're so underpriced. I go, what? They're underpriced. What they charge for a burger and what they charge for food, it's really like like people have said, at least 5 people, it's underpriced. Yeah.
But I mean, it's a good way to get in.
Of
course. It's so expensive out there. We're 9.1%, high, and everything's gone up 9.1%. They said, that's crazy.
Well, the average lunch right now is $20.
Yeah,
Period. I don't care. Like, what's under $20?
Yeah. So you take somebody out for dinner for a client, it's $200.
Yeah.
Right. Where it used to be
easy.
Used to be $100. You have a glass of wine or a martini each, maybe a glass of wine, and then you have something to eat, and then maybe $1.25. But now it's $2.50. It's just, it's tough. It's crazy. But I really like what they did with the place. The clothing and everything's fantastic. I mentioned that there's all shapes, sizes, and colors that are working there.
Yeah.
And I said, what you guys have done is fantastic. And so, yeah, I wish I would have joined on, but I'm going to join on next,
Yeah.
Because I think
the
it's
price
worth
jumped,
it. Yeah, the price, it went up to $15.
It's cool, man. I'm telling you. I just got an email from them today, and just for members, they're doing I forget what it's called, but it's like the head of the table dinner.
Right.
And I think it's gonna be like every once a month or something. They're gonna set the table of 17 where you guys were sitting last time.
Yep.
They're gonna do that, and they're gonna have like a special guest, and it's gonna be for the members only, and there's gonna be like a nice communication. This first one's gonna be Vicky and Dutch, and you're gonna get to sit with them and converse and have dinner with them, but they're going to continue. That's like one of the benefits. Like there's a lot of cool shit.
Yeah. And it's good to see how they got there, right? And they went through COVID too, which was like a lot of businesses went down. And they were in the middle of building the thing out. I mean,
I know that's fucking
crazy, right? So,
but I think that would have been better than if they would have opened up right before COVID and then COVID hit.
They're just going to get it done.
Yeah,
permits in LA are not easy to pull.
Not at all, man. I have a friend of mine that just bought a nice property on PCH on the coast, and he, long story short, there was like a little fire there. Mm-hmm. It took him 2.5 years to get the okay from Malibu to fix his own house. Wow. Fucking insane. Malibu, I heard Malibu and Mulholland are the worst. LA's bad. Everything's bad, but those two, if you're trying to work on your own house, forget about it.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
Fucking happen.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
And how was your? I rode on Sunday. Weather was just spectacular. But you were telling me about your ride before we started recording. How great was the weather? It was like magical weather. Yeah.
So I ride with the 59 Club.
Yeah.
And the 59 Club is like a group of. It started in 1959, out of England, outside of London, and I guess started by a guy. I think his father, Bill Shergold. And I might be messing up his last name, but you can go in and check it out. Just look up 59 Club motorcycle, UK, Los Angeles. Now they're everywhere. There's 4,000 plus members.
Wow.
And it's great. So I guess that back then in 59, everybody was greasers. And so they called all the people were calling their motorcycle guys on Triumphs hooligans.
Yeah.
And they weren't hooligans. They just and the priest himself rode a motorcycle. He's like, and it literally in mass, he would say, no, they're not hooligans. They ride motorcycles. They love adventure. And so he decided that there was the driveway went around the church, and it was a back, room that you could come in and they'd have events in. He gave them the back room and let them have it as their meeting room. And that became the
clubhouse.
59 Club and the clubhouse, right? So they're not 1%ers or anything like that. They're just a nice motorcycle club. We have 59, big 59 patch, and it says 59, and written out 59 Club. But the guys are great. Most of us drive. We got a couple guys drive Harleys. Doesn't matter. And then it's all. It's just all great guys. They're designers, podcasters, dentists, doctors, whatever advertising, whatever profession you're in, tech. And we meet every Sunday, and we go for a ride. And we meet up this Sunday. We met up in Moore Park at this little cafe there that's got a great breakfast. And then from there we went 126. Up through the back roads through Ojai. Have you done that road?
Of course.
Oh, my God.
We used to do that ride back in the days.
Yeah. Oh, my God. It was just going through.
Mike Beach on his soft tail with a little helmet getting fucking all the bugs. We're like, what the fuck?
I know, Beach. Congratulations, Beach, man. Big-time actor now.
Yeah, he's fucking killing it, man.
Hey, you douche, give me a call back, huh? The two of us, huh?
I'm going to repost that.
Yeah. So, but he's a terrific actor, and he was a good actor then, but I'm really happy for him. And I loved his wife, and guy's got more kids than any of us, right? I think he's tied with Rod Stewart.
Yeah, I think he's
12 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably got about 7, but it seems like he's got
so fucking crazy.
I know how many friends we had from back then, but I mean, it's like riding through Ojai. I'm like, and why don't I live here? It's so peaceful,
beautiful, man.
Where they got they didn't have the flowers up, but where they got all the beautiful orchids and flowers, purple out, out there. And then we went from there. We continued. We went to the.
Have you been to that bakery spot?
Yes. Yeah.
What's her name?
She's all over the internet.
She's all over the internet too.
Yeah, her stuff is so insane.
Her buns, man.
Her buns are like
fucking.
Yeah, not her real buns, but her buns.
Her buns. Like, legit.
Yeah. And then because my buddy
Kate's bread.
Yes, unbelievable. My buddy owns a place called Caravan Outpost in Ojai, so it's glamping. So he has 12 Airstreams that circle the property with a pit fire and everything, and he's got an insane store. His store is actually at the old place.
What's the name of the place?
Caravan Outpost.
Caravan Outpost.
Oh, it's so beautiful. So he's got this store there. He's got the glamping. They're booked all summer already.
And what does he do with the old place?
He had his store there for a while because the fire they had sort of messed up some things, and he had to redo the barn that he had there.
Right.
And so he just redid the barn. They got back in there, and they got all their own stuff there. His wife's a designer. He's a designer. He used to own Bonfire. She was Bonfire Snowboards. She used to be a designer at Nike, and then she became a designer with him. They met and got married, and then they created this insane, place. And it's the number one rented out motel type place in all of Ojai, even more than the Ojai Inn. Right. So crazy. And it's just beautiful. Gorgeous. So and they got bikes there. You got bikes and everything. So I love Ojai. So then from Ojai, then we went up to the Rock Inn. Have you been there?
Of course.
And so then we had
sandwich.
Yeah, I had the sandwich there, and that was amazing. And then from there we went to Solvang, and then got some ice cream, and then we went to the motorcycle museum. Have you been to the motorcycle museum?
No, I don't think I've been.
They got the most insane motorcycle museum in Solvang.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, and it's probably about 2,000 square feet space, and the motorcycles probably got $30 million in motorcycles in the place.
Yeah,
like from the existence of motorcycles to now, it's just insane. So, and then
have you talked to Lance? Are you staying in touch with Lance?
Lance, I miss him. Him and his wife. He had to get a. What do you need? A kidney. What do you have? Two kidneys.
Yeah. They took out a kidney.
His wife gave him. His wife.
Wow.
Gave one of her kidneys to him.
Wow.
And
they're such an amazing couple.
Yeah, we were just at Six, which is on Ventura. And it's where he used to be as a chef.
Yeah. And, remember? Fucking
so they're back in Portland.
Pesto.
Yeah, they're back in Portland. Yeah. They're doing well. They always loved Portland. And coming here was too expensive. And now they own a house there. And he's the chef, and I don't know what she's doing now, but Laura. And I miss them a lot. They was just, he was Mr. Quiet. Yep. But he was a great
we like each other's pictures, and we send little each other jokes and stuff. But fuck, man, I haven't seen.
We'll take a picture of us and send it to him.
Oh yeah, we have to. Absolutely.
Yeah. So so that's it. I'm gonna get your picture before we go.
Yeah.
So that way I've got
Yeah, we have proof of this. It's not good enough. I'm recording it, but So
there you are. Yeah. Let's get a picture of us both.
Let's do it, man. While I'm being on the podcast.
Yo. Yeah. Let's get a little video. Here we are.
Yo.
On the podcast, Roberts will
coming soon.
Yeah, this is nice space, dude.
Thank you, man. Worked my ass for this.
Yeah, really nice. Love it.
That you know where that's from, right?
What?
Look, read the plaque.
Oh my God.
That's from Van Nuys Harley.
Oh my God, that's great.
That's when we had that that promo and shit. Yeah, I miss it too, man. Mike Moffitt.
Yeah, does he still own it?
No.
They still around?
No, you don't know who bought
No.
There's Santa Clarita.
Yeah. But Mike's still there?
No, you don't know who bought it?
No.
What's his name? Oliver from Glendale Harley with what's the guy from Terminator? The cop?
Oh, you're kidding me.
Robert Patrick.
They own it?
Robert Patrick and Oliver from Glendale bought it from Mike Moffitt, I think 5 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they own it. That's Glendale now. And
wow.
This is when we were doing that giveaway where if you spent $300, they would give you one of these plaques. I had 2 of them, but fuck, man, just look that's from 2009.
Yeah.
14 years that thing's been rolling around.
How many bikes do you have?
3.
What are they?
2020 Streak Light, 2020 R1250 GSA, and 2021 Livewire.
Gotta get a Triumph.
Here's the thing, and actually, I'm gonna make a YouTube
Next time
video.
we ride, I'll let you try mine. I'll try yours.
Yeah. The thing is I started renting my bikes out. The Livewire was sitting, and I was like, I'm not riding this fucking thing. It's always the Harley or the BMW, and personally, the BMW for me is like fucking the shit. Sorry, guys.
That runs the best.
Oh my God, dude! It's just
I rode a Beamer in Germany.
It's just I've ridden it in Paris and in South America. I love that fucking bike, but I started renting out my I started renting out the live wire. I put it out, and I was like, let me see what happens. Nothing. And then I put my Street Glide with the Eagle Share. So Eagle Riders now has Eagle Share.
Yep.
So I put the Harley on that, and it got booked for 8 days, and it was good money. And I was like, oh.
You're getting $150 a day?
This is pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
It came out to it was like 1,500, 1,600, and then my cut was like 12, 13 or something. Wow. But they're doing, if you use, actually, I might as well just say it on the podcast. If you put your bike up on Eagle Share and use my promo code Ride Boundless, they will give you a year, no fees.
Wow.
So the fees are usually 20%, 25%.
And then what, could I put up the Triumph?
Yes.
And wow.
Yes. So now the
I need to get another bike. The key is always having 2 bikes, right?
The key, if you're going to do that, you got to have 2 bikes. And if you want to turn into a business, you need at least 3 bikes. But right now, I put my BMW.
Honey, do you hear that? 3 bikes.
It's for business purposes. So check this out. I've been doing this for maybe 5 weeks tops. My BMW is rented a week every month for the next 6 months. And as of yesterday, all of September, my BMW is rented out, with the exception of 1 or 2 transfer days during the week.
I gotta get that intel because a client of mine,
crazy, man.
A client of mine is coming here from Brazil, and he wants to ride Route 66.
Yeah, Route 66, yeah.
Route 66. Yeah,
routes. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
it depends on what.
Same difference.
Do you wash your car or do you wash your car?
Yeah, wise guy, huh?
Yeah, wash your car, right?
See, I got to use more of these. I keep saying I'm going to do it.
That's great.
That's great. But yeah, I think it's fucking amazing. I'm going to make a YouTube video pretty soon about which site I think is better for what and what to expect. But I keep getting asked about this. Everybody seems very fucking cool. If this continues at this pace for another 2 months, my next bike's either going to be a Triumph or a Ducati Scrambler, to add to the inventory of rentals. I'm going to see what rents more.
There's a new bike coming out, the something 85V by what's the Italian bike like they make?
Aprilian?
Huh?
Aprilian?
No, it's more like
MV Agusta?
Yeah. I saw one in Europe, and I just went online. Man,
I love MV Agusta.
I'm telling you what, I got their bike design-wise, we saw this bike in Italy, and I was like, holy shit. So I'm looking at that bike next for the next one. But I like this idea of renting a bike. I mean, I guess if I don't want to, if you had any incidents with the bike?
Look.
You're going to you got to have insurance, and if something
happens, the website insures everything.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. So I'll give you a quick story. The Harley was in San Jose. The guy picked it up here, rode to San Jose in the Bay Area. He was coming back down, filled up the tank, and as he's riding back, the shifter got stuck, and he couldn't shift out of gear. And
what gear was he in?
Second or something, but he couldn't get out of it. So something happened with this shifting rod or something. Blah 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 blah. The website got a tow truck. They picked them up. They dropped them off here. So imagine 4 or 5 hour drive in a fucking tow truck. They took care of that tab. They dropped it off. I had the dealer pick it up, and now I had warranty. They're going to fix it. And, that's kind of like the worst case scenario. There's different insurances. So there's 2 insurances. If the website charges you X amount of commission, they don't cover mechanical. So that's why, because I have warranty, then my warranty covered it. So this was the worst case scenario. Right. This guy, came a day early, and the bike came in a tow truck. Okay. But if you do the higher commission, they will give you money, and they will recompensate you for anything that's mechanical or time lost. Yeah. Number 3, what you call it? Motor Republic. Are you familiar with them?
Yep.
Very cool people. They've worked with one of the websites that I deal with, and they said, man, to get bikes repaired and fixed, because we've done with total losses and repairs, they pay within a week.
Wow.
They pay within a week.
Good. Oh, I might have to check in, because then if you're renting out a week, that's pretty insane. Oh, hang on 1 second. Let me just tell this guy I'm on a podcast.
Yeah. Let me I can always cut this out.
Whoop. Hey, I'm on a podcast. Can I call you right back?
Who answers while on a podcast?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You can always cut this out.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a call of my client, but I got to get going because I got
handle it. I think this is not going to be the first time, or the last time. I'm sorry.
Yep.
This is not going to be the last time. I'm going to just flip it. I guess you don't even need it at this point, but
here, I'll let you fix it.
It's just one, and
there you go.
There it is.
All right, great.
Yeah, it's not going to be the last time. We're going to do this multiple times. I'd love to check in with you. I do want to talk to you. We'll do like a lunch or something.
Yep.
Have you been to Coldwater in Ventura, the Sportsman's Lodge?
Yeah,
I
just went there. Yeah. My wife and I just went there. They got a great burger place over there.
Hi-Ho Burger. Oh my God, fantastic. The best fucking burger.
Best fries.
3x3. Have you done the 3x3?
No.
Do 3x3 at pastrami. Game changer.
Oh, what is it? Pastrami sandwich?
No, it's a burger, but they add pastrami to the burger.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, you get the gains, man. You get the fucking gains. And did you know they have a chicken sandwich?
I didn't.
They have one of the best chicken sandwiches in the world.
Oh, my God. All right.
May's Kitchen or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's called Hi-Ho Burger. So check this out real quick.
Chicken sandwich at the Hi-Ho?
At the Hi-Ho Burger.
Okay.
So check this fun fact out. There's a sugarfish. Mm-hmm. You've been there, right?
My friend started it.
Okay.
Yeah, she worked for me at Zoic.
Okay.
Her husband was they're Italian. Italian chef started it, and now they own all of them.
Okay, so you don't know this then.
No.
Sugarfish, you know the Italian place right across from right next to Hi-Ho Burger?
Yep.
Uvi? And Hi-Ho Burger, it's the same owners.
As Sugarfish? Well, then they're just killing it.
Well, you see, they're just killing it.
Did you hear that response? Because she can't think of her name right now. She's one of the coolest
Hi-Ho
chicks.
Burger, Sugarfish, and Uvo.
Yeah.
That pasta place, same owner, same chef, same kitchen, same everything.
Yeah, they were doing all their stuff out of downtown.
Murdering it.
Yeah, they were doing everything, and then that's why they're so quick in servicing.
Yeah,
because everything was made downtown.
Yeah,
and it's all delivered fresh to each of the locations. And then, so rather than doing it all, they prep it in the kitchen too, but it's like everything's sent to them from downtown in specific, trucks. And then it's like distributed properly. And then it's like next. And that's how they turn around like crazy.
It's quick. It's fucking amazing.
It's good. Yeah, I like that area. My wife found it to be a little like, oh, there's Botox this, there's Botox that, and this and that. I said, honey, have you looked around the place? Every girl in the place works out. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're 70 to...
They're opening up Equinox upstairs.
Yeah. I said, so it's like it's a place where you come enjoy food and everybody's healthy. Nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it.
So anyways, but so I mean, that's a nice place, but yeah, let's definitely go out and get some lunch and hang out and ride and do more stuff.
Steve, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
Great
I had
time,
a great time, man.
Appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.